What's going on, fellow nerds? Welcome back to the one and only Comic Book Nerd Nation for another weekly episode here. I'm here today with DePirate,
Howdy.
Topher,
Take two.
and I am phoxxtwo, and we are down one man this week. Unfortunately, the whole mother effing Brian was not able to join us this week, but don't worry, if you're addicted to Brian and his ridiculousness, you'll be able to get your fix next week, I'm sure. So let's jump right in and start talking about what we've read over the past week, what's new, stuff like that. Topher, you want to jump in here?
Sure. I'm gonna take a little trip down memory lane here because I haven't read a whole lot of new stuff other than just a little bit more of the Night of the Owl stuff that I was talking about last week. So I won't bore you with those details. But I started a quest last year to go back and read the entire history of the X-Men comics.
I have to jump in. I'm sorry. I have to interrupt you. I have to jump in for the sake of the viewers, for the sake of those diehard Comic Book Nerd Nation fans, if we have any out there. This is the second take, all right? We had a little bit of a technical difficulty on the first take. So you see that cheesy ass grin on Topher's face, and that is all because we had to go back and he's having to completely redo and say almost verbatim exactly what he was talking about before. So that's why he's got that cheesy smile. It's not because he's a sexual predator or anything, at least as far as we know. So, Topher, back to you.
That doesn't prove that I'm not a sexual predator. Wait, no, never mind.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. Where were we? X-Men. Yeah.
Right. X-Men.
Right, so 1963, back when a lot of sexual predators were probably born.
Before they put the red dots on the map.
Oh, X-Men #1 came out in 1963, so I started with that issue, and for the last several months, I've been going back reading every single issue, and I'm up to about 1987 now. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about a series I read recently that I really enjoyed, and it's the limited series about Magic, who is Illyana Rasputin, Colossus's little sister. She debuted pretty much with a new younger team of mutants that they introduced in 1983 called New Mutants was when she joined up with the team. And before that, though, she was actually a small child and came over and was visiting Peter Rasputin, her older brother Colossus, at the X Mansion, and in Uncanny X-Men. And she gets kidnapped by a demon named Belasco, who takes her to this other world, this other plane of existence where time and space have no meaning, and it's called Limbo. And in real time on Earth, she's only gone for a few seconds, a few minutes while they're trying to figure out how they lost her in a portal and grab her and pull her back. But meanwhile, for her, 8 years passes inside Limbo, and she learns to be this demon sorceress under the tutelage of Belasco. Meanwhile, there's like another world version of the X-Men that were trapped in there and much older, and most of them are all dead. But there's an older, wiser Storm who teaches Illyana how to overcome Belasco's influence, and tries to help her to set her free and make her escape. So it was really interesting, and while the X-Men I'll be honest, they get a little boring in the 80s, once John Byrne leaves the book, because he and Chris Claremont were co-writers, and he leaves, and then Chris Claremont starts writing New Mutants, which is actually is a much better series throughout the 80s than the X-Men really were. He tells this story in a limited series 4-issue run called Storm and Illyana Magic, and it was really good. I really like the series. There's Kitty Pryde and Storm are both in it, alternate universe versions anyway, and it's really an interesting story about a girl growing up in a weird realm, beset by evil and trying to overcome and make her escape and learn to live in this world where she doesn't know if she'll ever get out, and doesn't have a whole lot of friends.
So I have a question. Excuse me. So you said that she basically like is in this dimensional rift, if you will, or whatever, over in limbo, and where time is passing, but here it's not passing, which I think is incredibly fascinating. The whole idea of time travel, separate dimension stuff. I dig books that kind of play on that, but she got taken there by an evil demon, is what you said, Belasco.
Mm-hmm.
And,
yes.
And she learned to be a sorceress under his tutelage. Is then when I'm assuming she comes back.
Well, she does.
When she comes back, is she a hero? Is she like an anti-hero? Is she evil? Like, how does that play out?
It's interesting actually because when she comes back, she's now 15 years old, around the age of the other New Mutants, and she starts in as a member of that team. And it's interesting because she's still trying to be a good person, but there is a part of her nature that is inherently evil due to the influence of a demon, and so that's a part of her too. And a lot of the internal team conflict throughout the 80s in the New Mutants actually comes from the fact that they have a demon sorceress on their on their team, and a lot of the other characters in the book kind of struggle with her nature and wonder if they can trust her, and she's a very hard-edged character. She she's very realistic. She's not like she doesn't have the innocence that most of the other younger characters in that book have. She is a good person. She's very loyal to her friends. She tries to be good, but when she spent most of her life that she remembers growing up with a demon, the world is a very different place for her, and so she's a very pessimistic person.
Right.
And so there's a lot of mistrust that breeds, and so it's really kind of interesting the dynamic that creates once she comes back. But primarily, yeah, she's still a good guy. But there's that evil side to her nature that sometimes pops out, and she has to try and get under control.
Nice. So, Pirate, what have you been reading this week?
Well, I've slacked in the comic book nerd realm, but I've advanced in the I've read 2 comics this week. I've read the second to Origins 2 Wolverine and Batman 0 Year 27 newest issue. And I don't want to give too much away in the Batman one because a lot of people haven't read it.
Please don't.
New. But his perception of Jim Gordon changes in this issue, and that's really the big thing to take away from it. The Origins Wolverine 2 or Origins 2 Wolverine issue 2, it's it's
better or worse than the first issue.
It's better, but it's more confusing.
Because I liked the first issue. It's the first issue was very simple. He's in Canada. Very
he's living with a pack of wolves. Polar bear comes in that's tagged that shouldn't be there. Like he's wondering why. He's kind of conflicting between his human instincts and his beast instincts. So it's very straightforward, but it was a good issue. The first one. The second one, there's a lot of shit going on, and you get introduced into a lot of bigger picture elements. They're kind of just hinting around with, but it seems like it's a really good setup though. So confusing, yes, but I think the third issue is going to make sense of a lot of stuff going on. But what I have been doing a lot of this week is getting caught up on Game of Thrones. I've seen a lot of episodes. I've never ran long through it though.
Okay.
One, because I'm poor and I don't afford HBO, so I watch it at friends' houses when it comes out as it's new, but I always miss episodes in between. So I watched the first season this week, and I am utterly impressed. It was a good show, but it was always so confusing, to see what's going on. But starting from the beginning with the start,
you have to.
It's so good, season 1. And I'm a huge Dungeons and Dragons fan, and there's so many elements that George R.R. Martin did that you see, and when I say Dungeons and Dragons fan, I'm Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Revised Edition, second AD&D, that stuff. But there's so many campaign elements.
You just went from level nerd here to like up here, like you just you just elevated that shit like at least 10 degrees. Like you were here, now you're like bam there.
Right. Yeah. Well, but I mean, and I know Topher. Yeah, Topher, he's a dungeon junkie.
So I am in good company right now.
I don't have any Dungeons and Dragons source book sitting within arm's reach of my computer. I don't know what you're talking about
right now.
So, but what I'm saying though is there's a lot of elements that I see, like when I watch the show, it's you can see a lot of Birthright campaign setting, and obviously with the dragons, I expect it to become more of a Dragonlance type series where dragons are going to win wars and shit. But it's so good, man. Watched it from the beginning. Like they were always good watching them individual, but I was always confused, like. Yeah. Who's this motherfucker? Who's this asshole? Why did this dude just fuck a hot chick and his dick limp? You know what I mean? Like
it's very intricate with like the different threads of the storylines and kind of how they all interweave within one another to form the big picture, which I think is what really draws people to it. And spoiler alert, pirate.
Don't talk about season 3.
Oh no! Like I said, I've already seen season 3.
Cover your earmuffs if you want. But
there's not going to be too many spoilers.
What I think another thing that like really I think sets it apart from a lot of popular TV shows is they're bold in the fact that they're not scared to kill off a main character. I mean, they
proved that right out the gate with fucking Ned Stark, dude.
Yeah, they'll cut down anybody to make it a good
in all
story.
Fairness. Ned Stark was played by Sean Bean, and if you watch anything with Sean Bean,
he dies in everything.
And you expect him not to die, you're kind of in for a disappointment.
Yeah, that is a good point.
So this week for me, as far as reading goes, 2 things really. I picked up Indestructible Hulk, the newest one. I can't remember. I've got it sitting over here, number 18, I think. I don't even know. Yeah, 18. And it was pretty good. It wasn't great. I'm not really. I don't know. I really liked. I really liked the storyline when in Indestructible Hulk. When spoiler alert, if you couldn't tell by the cover art, I guess. But there's like a three issue run where Bruce Banner, the Hulk, goes to Jotunheim and confronts the Frost Giants and stuff. That was amazing.
That could be cool.
That was a really really cool story arc. And that's the first of the Indestructible Hulk series that I read, and I was like, damn, this is awesome, like I gotta get this shit. And I went out and like just bought all of them that I could find. And since then I think I read like the pinnacle thus far, and now it's kind of like the rest is good, not great.
Is that the ones where Hulk has the fucking super badass Timex, the time travel watch or whatever?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. It's largely based around a lot of time travel and stuff like that. So it's, like I said, it's good. As an Incredible Hulk fan, it's not what I'm used to, but it's not bad either. The other thing that I read this week was Batman Year One. I picked up a copy of that on Wednesday, and I'm completely blown away. Like, I love it. It's probably my favorite storyline of just about any comic that I've read. I mean, the way that Frank Miller writes it, the way that you're getting, you're kind of seeing it, the duality of seeing it through not only the perspective of Lieutenant Gordon, who obviously spoilers, in case you're completely oblivious to the entire world, becomes Commissioner Gordon eventually, and then also through Bruce Wayne just as he's coming back from being abroad for 12 years and trying to form himself into what is Batman as we know it is amazing. Just the happenings, the events, and there's a little bit of action, but the action isn't so much what builds the story and makes it what it is. It's really like the emotions and the conflict within, and the, I would say a good 50% of the book is nothing but inner monologue where, they're thinking and you're reading their thoughts.
See, I've never read that before, and I kind of want to now because, you just clued me into something about his history that I didn't know, that Batman was a woman.
Oh, right. Yeah.
You said he did he get a sex change when he came back to Gotham or
Did
something?
I say she?
No, you said he was abroad for 12 years.
Oh, abroad for 12 years. Yes. I forgot about that. But
and everything's all in her monologue. You never know what bitches are thinking.
Right. So, yes. All right, you got me there. But in all honesty, like, if you haven't read it, this is for any comic book fan, especially if you're a Batman fan specifically and you haven't read this, this is a must buy. It's not just a must read, it's a must go out, get off your damn couch, drive to the store, and pay $15 to buy this book. It is phenomenal, for sure. Those are the only two things that I read because I was so impressed with you.
This commercial paid for by DC Comics.
Yeah, I know, right? It sounds like it. But I actually started reading it again, so I haven't read anything else other than that. I'm going to read through it a second time. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, too, and this is not a paid advertisement, just so you know, is I mentioned on a previous podcast that I subscribed to Loot Crate, and I got my first Loot Crate. So I figured I would do kind of an unboxing, if you will. I don't know if this is right side up or whatever. So it just comes in a little black box like this, and you get like various nerd goodies. So I figured I would show you guys if you're interested in kind of
when you pull them. When you pull them out, you'd have to do the Zelda sound effect and hold them up and go do 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 do.
Or you do 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 do. So I think this is probably one of my favorite things that came this month. This is like an iron-on patch. I believe iron-on. I don't know. It might be just a sticker, but I think it's an iron-on patch for a shirt. But this is a melting Rubik's Cube that is from The Big Bang Theory on a shirt that Sheldon has. And I just think the way that this thing looks, the colors, everything, it's fucking cool. I like it.
You could put Grateful Dead over top of it. No one would know.
Yeah, you probably could get away with that. But anyway, the theme this month, each month has a theme. The theme this month was space. I don't know what the hell Rubik's Cube has to do with space, but whatever. This Pop figure, Pop Heroes, I don't know if you guys have seen these. This is a Domo Superman. So I'm actually happy because there was like I did some research to see what you could get after I saw what I got, and this one, like, you could get this version of Superman, or you could get like the new Superman from the new Superman movie, where he doesn't have like the red tighty whities type thing, or General Zod from that movie. And this is probably the one that I would most like to have. You know, we'll put him over here for now. It comes with this is like a little comic book type deal that tells you kind of like what you got, some other stuff in here, whatever, like a little bit of information about the different items you got. And this one in particular tells you about here you go. These are some of the other ones that you could have got. So pretty neat, whatever. They actually took one of these loot crates and launched it into space to further the theme and in nerdy goodness. That's kind of neat. Little button that says "First in Space Launch Crate, January 2014." That's kind of cool. An iron-on Star Trek. That's pretty sweet. Throw that on a shirt. Wear it to work. I don't think HR would hate on that, would you? I mean, I don't know. A NASA patch, which is kind of cool.
Just don't put it on a red shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll die.
This actually looks like a fairly official looking NASA patch. I was kind of.
Yeah, they're
I could be an astronaut for Halloween 1 year. So this is cool. This is a Star Wars pocket model trading card game pack. So it's like 4 to 8 little models. I don't know, Pirate, we might have to try and play this sometime, but
yeah,
it's got little models or whatever in it. It's kind of neat. This is cool. Topher, you will like this. This is Star Wars Galactic Phrasebook and Travel Guide.
Oh, that so is pretty awesome.
You go in here and it's got like all these different languages by race and things like that, and and you can say all kinds of, like different droid languages and Ewoks and Wookiees, and I don't know if Wookiee's in here, but
Say something in Wookiee then.
I don't. That was probably really loud.
I can't believe you use that kind of language on this podcast.
I know.
Do you have any idea what you just said?
I apologize to all of your mothers. And then there's, if I can get it out of here, there's it's a Minecraft calendar, like a mini 2014, 16 months actually, so a little bit over a year-long calendar, and it's got a bunch of different Minecraft.
What does that have to do with space?
I don't know. I think it's just one of those things that, like, they give you a few things that have to do with the theme, and then they give you a few things that are, like, currently popular.
Well, January new calendar makes sense.
So, yeah, and Minecraft is, like, a big thing right now. So, I don't know. I think it's pretty neat. Like I said, I paid, I think it was, $50 for a 3-month subscription. So, once a month, one of these will just, show up at my door, and you can get whatever the theme is for the month. And then for being a subscriber, you're automatically entered into, I can't remember how many. It's 5 people or 3 people each month get the big, a grand package or whatever. And this month, it was like a painting of Boba Fett that was probably at least twice as big as that X-Men painting that's on the wall behind me. Big ass Boba Fett looking painting, which, I mean, that's cool. I got some cool stuff that I'll use pretty much all of that probably because I'm a huge nerd. But I got some neat stuff for not that much money, and I'm getting entered to win some crazy cool stuff that is probably worth way more than what you know what I mean. So it's pretty neat. I like it.
Speaking of which, I'm going to throw it out here now since we're Cincinnati natives and the Cincinnati Comic-Con has Peter Mayhew going to be there.
Oh yeah, and Herb Trimpe.
And George Perez.
And George Perez.
But as a comic book nerd nation staple, we should have group photo. I'm just saying.
Group photo at the comic book convention?
At the comic book with them.
That might be hard to get all of them rounded together.
No, not them all together. We can do
okay.
But,
yeah, I don't see why at least the 3 of us that are living in the greater tri-state area.
Photoshop Brian into it too.
Yeah, we'll just Photoshop him in there. It'd be no big deal. He won't mind.
Can we Photoshop him into this video?
We'll find somebody with a Mandalorian outfit on it and just say it was him.
Who knows? Maybe he goes to the New York Comic-Con every year. Maybe the 3 of us will have to make a trip out there. I would not be opposed to going to the New York Comic-Con.
I'm down.
That'd be friggin' amazing. And while we're talking about Comic-Cons, I have a good friend that's in Lexington, Kentucky, which, by the way, just as a side note, next weekend, myself and Pirate will both be there competing in a man facial hair competition. That's right. So that'll be pretty fun, interesting. I guess this is the first one that either of us have ever been to, and we're going to actually compete. So we probably won't win anything at all, but we'll drink a couple beers, have some fun.
Obviously, you haven't seen this. Look at this mustache.
I'm scared to. Oh my god. Oh my god.
That's winning. That is winning. Charlie Sheen on my face.
Now that we scared away 75% of the people that watch this.
It's a conservative estimate.
Yeah, right. So
3 people?
Yeah, so all 3 people, right. So Lexington, they have in March.
March 16th, I think.
Lexington Comic Book and Toy Convention. So, and my buddy Jeff that lives down in the Lexington area he sent me a message saying, hey, don't forget about this. So I think he's potentially interested in going. I think that might have to be one of our first road trip episodes, potentially.
I like it.
Maybe a half episode, if you will, not a 7, but a 7.5 before the episode 8 comes out, something like that. I don't know. We'll have to see, but I think that could be fun. Go down there, get some footage, meet some people, probably get a bunch of free comics. Realistically, it's a comic book convention after all. But yeah, I think that would be neat, and I'm excited about the toy aspect of it as well. As you can see over here, I've got some action figure type stuff, that models and different stuff that I'm into collecting that stuff too. I think it's pretty cool. So that'd be neat to see what we could get.
Yeah, that's gonna be cool. Always cool to see what kind of, because there's always those like random bins of trash that people like try to get rid of.
But
and
it's
sell
not
really cheap.
trash.
I
That's
know,
like
it's
the
like-
best stuff. That's like where the gold is at. That's
Well,
like
I mean, those places
golden
it's not the
goodness.
high dollar stuff, but it's the most nostalgic stuff. That
Yeah,
you
that's
can
the
find
stuff
because-
that links you to your childhood the most. I was at a local flea market just a few weeks ago, and I saw I was going up there because I know there's a couple comic book vendors, one of which has a lot of older Incredible Hulk stuff. And I'm sorry, I have to scratch my eye. You're just all gonna have to deal with that right now. But they have a lot of older Incredible Hulk stuff. And while I was up there, like walking through, just kind of looking around, I came across a vendor that is all action figure and like statues and that kind of stuff. And it's like I went in there and started looking at it, and there was so much stuff that was just like, oh man. I remember when I was like 8 years old and I had that toy. Like, okay, here's one of the things that I came across that just instantly transported me back to being a child and, you know, the land of no responsibilities and endless happiness was, do you guys remember I believe it was based off of the Adam West Batman TV show, but the old Batmobile toy where the front bumper like pushed out.
Shot off. You could push a button and it would shoot out at you.
Oh, I think I think Pirate's going to get it.
I still
right
have
now.
mine.
He's got it. That's the one. That's the one. Oh,
Hold on. Wait,
Yes.
that's the back end.
Oh,
that shoots out.
yeah. Do it.
That's the front end.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
And the lights.
So they had
I
one
don't
of
know.
those. Yeah. Oh, and they like pop up and down. That is the
Yeah.
greatest. The simplicity of it is just amazing. And I saw one of those and it blew me away. I was like, "Oh my god, I had completely forgotten. Like this thing had been basically erased out of my memory just from over the years, you know."
I have that same toy, and it wasn't from the old '60s Batman
was Super
series.
Friends.
It was from the '80s cartoon Super Friends.
Okay.
I have and hold on. Here's the thing. Cincinnati, when I grew up, okay, us living in the Cincinnati area, growing up, the Hall of Justice is exactly like the fucking Union Terminal.
Yes.
I used to think, driving by, Superman and
Superman's in
Batman
there. They're in there.
was in there handling
Let's go see
business.
him, Dad. Come on. Take me to
I
Union
was like-
Terminal. Let's do
And
it.
that's what the Hall of Justice was based off, was the Union Terminal.
Oh, that is too good. That's too good. We're gonna have to. Oh, we might have to visit down there.
Man,
Dress
that
up
place is
like
falling
some
apart so bad.
superheroes and go down there. You think we'd get arrested?
yeah.
We'd probably get arrested.
Man,
It'd be
no,
worth
we
it though.
won't.
It'd be
I would
worth
totally
it just
do
for the internet greatness that would come out of that.
I mean, if I dress up like the Punisher, we might have a problem. But
yeah,
no,
I don't think that would be advisable.
if
at
we
all.
put on tights and underwear outside our pants, we're fine.
Okay.
That's Cincinnati; they're used to it.
I don't know that would qualify you as fine. I'm just saying.
So back to the sexual predator from the beginning of the episode. You see how it all comes together now. We've been
Full
building
circle.
this the whole time. So yeah, I was at this flea market and I saw that and it just instantly took me back to a place where all these fond memories that I'd forgotten about and just it was so amazing. And that stuff is
And then
going
you've seen
for
the price
cheap.
tag for like $50, and you're
Well,
like, "Fuck, it's not that
But
fun."
I would probably pay $50 for that to have that little piece of my childhood back. That's
I'll
awesome.
sell you mine for $50.
Yeah,
Dude, Chris, does yours have all the windows on it? Like,
Mine
I
did.
noticed in the
mine
front
did,
ones.
but they came off real easy, as I recall.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like
It
they
did the
just
last
pop
time
out.
I saw it, but that doesn't mean that it still does because I'm not sure
I
exactly
cannot-
where it is. I think it's actually in my parents' basement somewhere.
Yeah, I cannot find those lenses. I found a whole box of all, like the Hall of Justice, I had Dark Side's fucking flyer that was like a gun that the back cockpit came out. I had
I'm about to go
Lex
shopping at your
Luthor.
house.
I had Lex Luthor's
Forget the-
plane. I had
forget the flea
Martian
market.
Manhunter's plane. I have Superman's plane, Superman Walker.
Why
I
does
have,
Superman need a plane? Let's talk about that for a second. Why
Yeah,
does
dude,
Superman need
no.
a plane?
I even at 6 years old, I was like, "This is bullshit."
Like I totally got
I-
ripped off.
I've already made this joke once before, but I'm going to do it again. I have Wonder Woman's plane.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, repeat. Throwback to episode 3. Thor.
All right. While we're talking about Wonder Woman, or not Wonder Woman, but I have an Invisible Woman rather. I have a joke, so bear with me. This might be a terrible fail, but I'm gonna do it anyway because I feel like there's no better place than the Comic Book Nerd Nation for people that might possibly like this joke. I don't know.
This is a safety zone for shitty jokes.
Yeah,
so
I've heard this joke.
We're in the bubble right now. Am I in the safety bubble finally?
We're in the circle of shitty joke trust.
Okay, cool.
I've heard this joke, so I'm going to get a drink while you subject everyone else to it.
All right, sounds good enough. What a dick. Anyway, okay, so Batman and Superman are, they're friends. They know each other from the Justice League and everything like that. They both had separate cases. They were taken down, some supervillains. And they both happened to finish them up right about the same time. And Superman calls Batman and is like, yo, man, I just got done with this big case. I've been super stressed out. I finally got this thing handled. Let's go out and just let's cut loose. Let's party a little bit. Let's relax. Let's have some fun. We're always working. Let's have some fun. And Batman's like, no way. I'm Batman. I'm always working. I'm a miserable prick. So Superman's like, man, who am I going to show off this majestic curl in my hair to? So he calls all of his other super friends, and they're all busy. Everybody's busy. And he's like, man, screw this. I'm going to the beach. I am going to relax on my day off. That's it. So he cruises on down to the beach, flies in there, and he looks over and he's like, what the? I see Wonder Woman, and she's naked. She's like sprawled out naked on the beach, and she's like kind of like moving around, and so that's my best impression, by the way, of like a sexy woman on a beach. In case you can't tell, it's pretty awesome. So
you look like a dying whale.
She's like, so she's like sprawled out on the beach, butt naked, and he's like, "What the fuck is going on here?" He's like, "You know what? I deserve this, so I'm just gonna slide on in there. I'm gonna fly on in, I'm gonna hit it, and I'm out. She won't even know what happened." So he does it, and boom, hits it and goes. And Wonder Woman's like, what? Oh my God, what was that? What was that? Invisible Man was like, I don't even know, but my butt sure hurts.
I've heard that one before.
So, terrible joke. I tried my best. Topher's back just in time to avoid the ending.
All right, so I'm back. So let me guess. Invisible Man goes, oh man, my ass is killing me.
God, I hate you. I hate
right,
your face.
right?
Yeah.
That one? Yeah.
All right,
okay.
so now that he's completely ruined my joke. But anyway, it was fun telling it, and I don't care. So, news and rumors around the comic book scene. I'm going to start it off with the one and only that I know, which is probably one of the biggest. Actually, two. I'm going to talk about two different things. First, we got Batman and Superman. There's some really sketchy sounding rumors that potentially Ben Affleck or Batfleck, or however you want to call it, may not happen, that he may drop out of the potential Batman versus Superman movie, which nobody even knows the real title. Everybody's just assuming that it's Superman Batman. What do you guys think about this? I mean, I don't want him to. I think he would do. I really think he would do a good job.
If he drops out, he's an idiot. Like,
I agree. The amount of money from that franchise is going to be huge.
This is going to surpass what the Avengers 1 did. You know what I mean? The hype and the build-up, and then pushing it back another year. You know what I mean? Like, this is one of those movies that's going to be, monumental when it drops. Just because, you have to take it like this. The Avengers was a movie that was based on a bunch of superheroes that not a lot of people outside the comic book realm knew about.
Okay,
you know what I mean? Yes, they had previous movies to hype it up. But, take Thor, for instance. How many movies have been based around Thor, other than the first one, that were people other than who's in comic books would know who Thor is?
Not many at all, if any.
Okay, take Superman. and Batman.
Yeah.
All the
Huge
movies
franchise.
and
Huge
the amount of money
franchise.
those two have made within movies. So you have you have 75 years worth of comic books established in both franchises.
Yeah.
You have numerous amounts of movies established in both franchises. You have parents who want to see it because it reminds them of their childhood, so they want their children to relive the same experience.
Yeah, I agree completely.
Marvel has not had anything like that. If Ben Affleck pulls out of this, I mean, this movie will surpass $2 billion. I guarantee it.
I don't know if this one will surpass $2 billion.
This one will.
But
this one will.
I think you're on the right track for sure. I think that this one has the potential, but I think the follow-up when they go full-blown Justice League is going to be it's going to completely blow it out of the water.
Here's how I disagree with you slightly at that point. Depending on how this movie ends up actually doing, then it will, because Justice League may not happen.
Oh, it should. If they know anything about it.
If this movie flops, if this movie does not do the numbers, I think
there's no way that this movie's going to be a flop. There's no
exactly.
way.
Here's the thing though, but it's not just a matter of upfront sales, like weekend opening sales. You know what I mean? It's a matter of long-term sales. Like, look at Green Lantern. Green Lantern had awesome opening weekend because everybody was expecting it, but the long-term sales didn't resolve the fact that they needed a sequel.
Here's the question. I see what you're saying, and this is a question directed to both of you as comic book fans, which there are plenty of us across the world. Okay, there's plenty of us to really make a difference on sales. Not, obviously you need the general public as well, but it's all driven from the basis of comic book fans. Right now, not even knowing the title of the movie, for sure when it's going to be out, what it's going to be about for sure, would you go see it in the theater? Yes or no?
Yes, absolutely.
Topher?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Would you buy it on Blu-ray?
No. If it sucked in the theater, I wouldn't.
I would buy it on Blu-ray even if it was a shitty movie because it's Batman and Superman together in the same movie.
I would download it.
As a collector, as a collector and a supporter of the comic book community, I would purchase that just because of what it is.
But Fox, if you look at the numbers, if you look and actually see the numbers of the amount of money movies make, and you take in, for example, like you look into them and see like. They don't project nerd comic book sales.
No, I agree. They project total
marketing
sales,
doesn't take that into effect. They know that they already count on that.
There's plenty of people that would buy just because of the fact that Batman and Superman are in there and they know both of them and they want to take their kids. Topher, what do you want to say?
I would probably buy it on disc. I would buy the Blu-ray, but I'm a comic book fan. Having said that, I still haven't bought Man of Steel yet.
That's true.
I did buy Superman Returns.
I love
and that
movie.
Wasn't the greatest movie.
I like that one a lot.
But so I did not buy Wolverine Origins. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Is that the newest or no? What's the newest Wolverine?
The Wolverine.
I didn't
Fox,
like that.
you really don't
which I haven't seen yet.
One he doesn't like yet. Come on,
I know.
We've talked about this 20 times.
Wolverine Origins.
I'm not a
movie
huge X-Men
ever.
fan. I'm not a huge X-Men person.
Topher's a good friend, and you at least should know his fucking what he does not like.
Yeah.
So,
we talk about it every episode.
So I never bought that movie, and I never will. Hands down, I never will. So yes, there is a point where a comic book movie can be so bad that even someone who owns every single comic book movie ever will not buy it. And the thing is, though, they're not making movies for comic book fans. Like I know that that's what we all want to see, but when they make a movie, they get the green light on things that they think are going to have general population appeal, not that the hardcore fans are going to like. And the studios have shown time and time again that they are willing to completely crap on everything that true comic book fans want to see if they think it'll bring out more people at the box office. If they can get more, Joes who have never heard of this character, they will do that instead of catering to their own audience. Because the thing is, these are, they're marketing, and the idea of marketing is not to cater to your current audience. The goal of marketing is to bring in bigger audience, bring in the audience that you don't already have hook, line, and sinker. Right. So
I see
The
what you're saying.
Superman Batman movie, I think is going to be good, and I'm going to watch it, and I'll probably buy it. But I mean, look at Iron Man. Iron Man was great, had a huge draw. You know, Captain America did decent. First Thor movie did well, but not nearly as well as the other ones. You know, by comic book movie, superhero movie standards. But the Avengers blew
Blew it out
everything
of the
else
water.
away.
Yeah.
And as popular as Superman and Batman are, I'm sorry, but if you think Superman Batman is going to be, you know, it's going to be big, but it's not going to be the record setter. Like Justice League is when everybody's going to finally
I think
be
so.
like, all right, that's the one we're going to go see. The thing is, movie tickets now, you know, like 3D movie tickets, like fucking $15.
Yeah.
You know,
And then
people
you
are
got
like,
$20
you know,
worth of popcorn and pop and everything
especially, you know, like Ben Affleck as Batman, while we've talked about this and we've evaluated and we think it's going to be fine, you know, if he does do it, I don't know that the general population has thought about it as much, and they just might be like, oh my God, Ben Affleck as Batman? Yeah, I'll wait for that on video. You know, I think that movie is going to have to prove itself before the general population is going to buy in wholesale to the Justice League concept. And so I think Justice League is going to break all kinds of records when they finally get around to it, if they can ever get off their asses and make it. But Superman, Batman, you know, don't get me wrong, it's going to do well. It's just not going to be like the new number one.
I think that they will have to use, not have to, but I think the best approach would be to use this one as an introductory movie, like we kind of talked about last week, I think, and introduce the idea of Ben Affleck as Batman. You know, get him some screen time and everything. Get you familiarized with him as an average person. And damn, beating your pussy over there.
No, they're fighting.
Cat is like, are you killing that cat?
No,
I mean,
my
if you
cats
want
are
to,
fighting.
it's okay, but. But yeah, I think that they should use this to introduce the characters, get a familiarity with the characters, and then jump into the Justice League, which will absolutely, in my opinion, shatter all of Marvel's movie records, hands down. Just because, like Pirate said, just the history and the amount of exposure that Superman and Batman, the franchise, power that both of them have as a brand. You know, Superman and Batman are both brands within themselves, you know, let alone, you know, you can mention DC Comics to someone and they might not even know who DC Comics is, but if you say Superman, they're going to know exactly what the hell you're talking about. They're going to think of the S on the chest and all that.
It has already been established that the Superman symbol is the number 2 recognizable symbol in the world. There's the swastika, and then there's Superman symbol.
Yeah, I believe it. I completely believe that.
Like, world. Like, you show anyone in the world a Superman symbol,
and they know exactly what you're talking about.
They most anybody can tell you, oh, Superman. You show anybody a swastika, they're going to say, oh, Nazis.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
Or Nazis. But still.
That being said, you know, Marvel has their Phase 2 and Phase 3 movies planned out for the next 10 years, you know.
Right.
So while I think Justice League, you know, is capable of setting records, I think
Marvel's right there with them.
I think the Avengers movie that comes out right after it's probably going to break it again.
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
going to
be a leapfrog thing because
awesome.
The biggest thing, you know, factoring into, you know, box office sales these days is how fast the ticket prices are going up. You know, it's like the more expensive they get, the higher the totals keep being every year. But I think Marvel at least has proven themselves and established that they have a quality franchise, and I think people now are going to buy into that, and I think the next Avengers movie is going to be even more huge because they've already proven what they can do with it. I think DC is going to really have to prove themselves with that Justice League movie because, like John said, I think initial first opening weekend sales are going to be amazing. How the long-term sales do, and you know,
the quality of the film
depends on how good it is. You know, if it's not up to par, then
it's not going to fare well.
You know, then it's not going to stay. It's not going to have the staying power that the Avengers did.
Right. The second thing.
On that.
All that being said, getting back to the Ben Affleck thing, I'm going to call bullshit on that rumor because the thing is, it's Warner Brothers Studios doing the film. You know, Affleck's done a bunch of stuff with Warner Brothers before. He's got a lot of irons in that fire. You know, the rumor started because he they pushed back the release date. They said, okay, we can't do 2015, we're going to do 2016 now, or whatever they said it was.
Right.
They pushed it back a year, and there were feelings that might interfere with some directorial projects that Affleck's got coming up, and that he might not be able to commit to both. And if they don't get their shit together and hold down a schedule, then he's going to have to walk because he can't plan around it. That being said, Affleck is a huge Batman fan. I don't know what other irons he's got in that fire, but I have to think that he's going to work with that studio and they're going to find a way to get it done. That is not a project that he wants to walk away from, and that's not a studio.
It's a franchise that he wants to walk away from.
Exactly, and that's not a studio that he wants to play hardball with and piss off and walk away from, because that's a bridge you just don't want to burn.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that you're not signing up to play Batman in Batman Superman. You're signing up to play Batman in a potential dozen other movies.
Because it's probably going to be a Batman solo trilogy following that.
Well,
he'll probably he'll probably get to direct them as well, which is
not only that, but the other movies.
I don't know about that.
Think about the
other
other
movies.
Have some
plays in it.
Think about all the other movies that he could potentially be in that he might not even really have to do much, and he's still going to make bank on. Like when they introduce, they do a Wonder Woman movie, they might want to throw Batman in there for a couple cameos. Well, they got to go to Ben Affleck for that. Say they want to do, for whatever reason, an Aquaman movie. They might want to have Batman. You know what I'm saying? Like, the potential is there. I'm not saying that those are good ideas or whatever, but
you can pop his head in for a cameo in Wonder Woman and I'm Batman, and then pop his head in for a cameo in Aquaman and be like, I'm Batman.
Before we get so deep into this that we completely lose the train of thought, let's move on to our next topic. Because
hold on.
All right.
I had shit.
All right, so moving on. So moving on, the other thing that I wanted to talk about today, and I think that for sure at least Pirate, Topher, I'm sorry, this week's episode of The Arrow.
Green Arrow.
Have you seen it?
Oh, wow.
I didn't see that coming.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, man.
Game of Thrones.
Okay.
I was going to watch it before we got on here, but then I was like, shit. Like, I was so caught up in an episode
all right,
of Game of Thrones.
I won't talk about it out of respect for the fact that you do keep up with that and you have been watching it. I will avoid that topic. So
this is the first one.
So back to news then?
Yeah, so Topher, I think you had some stuff that you wanted to mention.
Yeah, we've got some details on the new Fantastic Four movie that Fox has in the works.
First two.
We don't know.
Actually.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to be going with a younger cast. This isn't going to be an established team. It very much looks like they're trying to follow in the footsteps of their X-Men First Class. And I don't know if they're trying to... I think the gist is they're trying to build like a shared universe kind of thing where they can have the Fantastic Four and the X-Men all in one universe because, it's worked out so well for Marvel Studios. So Fox is like, we want to do that, Right. So there have been some casting calls put out, and there was an initial plot synopsis that was rumored to be released, and I'm going to go ahead and read that off here. The Fantastic Four will tell the story of two very young friends, Reed Richards and Ben Grimm. After an event transforms the boys, they find themselves empowered with bizarre new abilities. Reed becomes a scientific genius who can stretch, twist, and reshape his body into inhuman proportions. Ben becomes a monstrous, craggy humanoid with orange, rock-like skin and super strength. However, the two end up being owned by the government and used as weapons. But after they mature, two others with powers come into the picture: Sue Storm, the Invisible Girl, and Johnny Storm, the Human Torch.
So this is basically they're completely rebooting and doing an Origins.
Don't like it.
The director has since come out with a tweet saying, "No, that synopsis is wrong. I don't know who put that out. It's bullshit." But if you look at what they're doing with X-Men First Class and how they completely rewrote that and everything,
totally
it's not far off the mark in terms of what it would follow,
right?
So while it might not be official and it might not be true, it does seem that they're kind of going in that direction. Now, there's been a couple casting rumors, like all the actors and actresses look fairly young, for Reed Richards, the ones that they're doing. I mean, these some of these actors are in like their late teens, early 20s kind of thing. One of them actually they've suggested is Kit Harington, who is on Game of Thrones, who plays.
Tell me that's not Joffrey.
No.
Thank you.
No, Jon Snow.
Oh, really? As Reed Richards?
I
don't like that at all.
He's not been cast or anything. It's one of the names that they're looking at.
I don't like that. I don't see that as a good fit whatsoever with his popularity currently in Game of Thrones, and I don't like it.
The only actor who seems to be all but officially confirmed now is excuse me, Michael B. Jordan is going to be playing Human Torch.
Oh, okay.
No, Human Torch. And
what has he played in before?
He does the voice. He's done some comic related stuff. He does the voice of Cyborg in a couple of Justice League videos.
Okay.
And he was in Chronicle, which was a movie about a few high school friends who get superpowers. It came out a while back.
Yeah, that was
sci-fi movie.
Was actually a pretty good movie.
Well, the director of that movie, Josh Trank, is who's going to be directing the new Fantastic Four movie. So, the director seems to be decent. He's been in a few other things. He was in Parenthood. He was in Friday Night Lights, the TV series. He's been in a few things. But the interesting thing, and I don't want to make this about race or anything, but I mean, a lot of times people have come out and been like, "What you can," like when they cast Idris Elba as in Thor as Heimdall. A lot of people said, "What? Heimdall can't be black? Like he's white in the comics." Well, since this is a black actor, the actresses that they're talking about casting for Sue Storm are white. So it's kind of interesting because in the comics, Sue and Johnny are clearly brother and sister. Now, I don't care what race they cast everybody as, but if one's black and one's white, it seems pretty clear that they're not going to make them brother and sister. So
which completely craps on the entire premise of Fantastic Four.
I kind of gotta wonder, how they relate to the main characters. Yeah. Are they going to do the relationship between Reed and Sue, or if Sue Storm and Johnny Storm both share a last name, but married? They're clearly not brother and sister? Are they going to have them married in the movie?
I don't
which
like
would
it.
Be really weird.
That's too much.
What I really don't like, and it's kind of, I guess, minute in the grand scheme of things, but I don't like what it can lead to is that they make Reed Richards. He gets this ability and then becomes a scientific genius.
Right.
Before, he was a scientific genius, and that's what
led to it.
Exactly. And it's like, wait a minute, like you know what I mean? It's like, what, did he fucking stand too close to a microwave and all becomes a genius? Like, fuck that.
I get the idea of, as a quote unquote artist, as a director, or as a script writer, as a producer, taking artistic liberties with something and making it yours. I get that, take Batman, for example. You have the oh my god, the original Batman and Return of Batman that were directed by
Tim Burton.
Tim Burton, thank you. By
Michael Keaton.
Yeah, Michael Keaton. By Tim Burton, and then you have the Joel Schumacher Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, which were like the epitome of awful. And then you have the Chris Nolan, Nolan Batman series, which is a total reimagination, so much darker than either of any of the four predecessing movies. That I get that. I get, you want to make it yours and everything like that. And sometimes it can make it better. I get that. But when they start completely rewriting history as it relates to the development of the character, how the character became relevant, how the character got its powers and stuff, that's like saying oh yeah, Batman, he got bullied too much in school, and one day this big fat kid gave him a swirly and he decided he was going to go overseas and become Batman. That's not how that shit works. You can't just shit on the fact Batman became Batman because his parents were murdered. It messed with him in the head. He had money. He traveled the world and learned martial arts. that's the story. Like, if you want to manipulate that a little bit and say, like, well, he didn't just travel the world, he went to this place and met Raj Al Ghul and whatever, that's fine. Like, you're still sticking to the broad strokes of the storyline. But straight up saying, like Pirate said, that he became Mr. Fantastic, then all of a sudden he was a mental giant and super smart and everything, it completely shits on the heritage of what is Fantastic Four, which I'm not. I know I'm like getting a little heated right now, but I'm not like a huge Fantastic Four fan.
Oh, I'm definitely not.
But at the same time, I can't completely like disregard the fact that Fantastic Four is largely due. They're largely responsible for making comic books what they are today. Like, they are a big stepping stone on the road that got us to where we are now.
I'll give them credit, but other than Victor Von Doom, it's a lame story.
So
I mean, that's my personal opinion.
This is Fox Studios. I mean, that's kind of all that has to be said. This is the studio.
Yeah, that is true.
This is the studio that brought you Wolverine Origin.
There it is.
It all comes. It
all comes full circle.
I think we pretty much need a new verb at this point. They foxed all over it. They took the origin story
shit right out
and they foxed it up. They foxed it up so bad that
that's fantastic.
Reed Richards is some 16-year-old kid who doesn't know shit and suddenly becomes Mr. Fantastic and a scientific genius.
That's fantastic.
I'm going to start hanging out next to my microwave and see what happens. See if I get smarter.
All right, guys.
Cancer is not a superpower.
Well, that about wraps it up for this week's episode of the Comic Book Nerd Nation. We appreciate all of your support. We are currently working on trying to get our show into an RSS format, which will make it available on iTunes and Stitcher. And we will also be, hopefully, trying to get featured on a major comic book website sometime soon. I don't want to let the chicken out of the bag, or whatever the hell the saying is. I don't even.
Chickens in bags.
The website just doesn't know it yet, is what he's trying to say.
Right. So we're working on some stuff. There's some stuff on the back burner. We're trying to bring a little more exposure to the show and some more exciting avenues to get guests and things like that on the show for you guys, the viewers, the listeners. But we do appreciate everybody's support, so make sure that you click the like button. If you're still here with us, you obviously enjoyed what we've got to say. As always, I'm phoxxtwo signing out, and this is The Pirate.
See you guys. Have a good one.
And Topher.
I'm going to go get foxed up.
We'll see you guys next week.